Hello everyone. Today we'll be beginning with week 5 of the course Strategic Sales Management. I am very hopeful that all these weeks which have covered till date you have had a great learning experience. So as far as today's module is concerned, once we are done with this, you'll be able to comprehend key responsibilities of salesperson, how one should prepare for a sales role, and what are various kinds of personal selling skills that will make you stand out as far as the profession of sales is concerned. Now, if you see the first slide, you can see the snapshot which actually is trying to bifurcate traditional versus modern approach and changing responsibilities of salesperson. You might be wondering why I have put it like this, because as far as the traditional sales management is concerned and modern approach is concerned, the responsibilities of salespersons are going to be very different. If you recollect, when we were even talking about the objectives, we first discussed what could be the objectives of sales management, and then I gave you a perspective about the modern sales environment, and then we again re-looked at the objectives. I am sure that you will be able to recollect this. So similarly, the point which I want to highlight here is the fact that when you talk about the traditional approach, the responsibilities of salesperson were only related to somehow selling. They were only concerned about closing that day's deal. Whereas the modern environment demands a lot, because selling has now emerged as one of the key pillars of the marketing management, which can definitely provide a lot of leverage to an organization as far as its growth and sustainability is concerned. So if we look at the primary job of a salesperson, you might be thinking, oh, it is only going to be about selling. That is right, but I want you to understand this in a different way. So we'll understand it like this. The primary job of a salesperson certainly is to help the prospects, customers and clients solve their business problems. If you see, we are trying to highlight via selling, because the perspective that I want to bring at this juncture is primarily the fact that sales are going to happen, but let them come from the fact when you are trying to solve the business problems of your prospects or customers. In a way, you should help them solve their problems, and then selling should come in picture. And we can't deny the fact that we also have to keep the long term orientation as well as value driven perspectives in mind. Long term orientation, as in you should focus on relationships, so that even when there are chances of upselling and cross selling, the prospect or client should get back to you. And definitely the profits are going to follow if what we just discussed now is pursued consistently. Apart from this, there are a lot of secondary functions which a salesperson is required to follow. See, if you look at this snapshot, we have discussed all this in bits and pieces during all these weeks that we have been talking about strategic sales management, but still we'll sum up them in our brief discussion now. So the first key responsibility is sales and profit success. If you remember, I have spoken this about a couple of times, that if you are going to sell your offering, or maybe if you want to achieve that day's deal and you decrease the price so much that it is not going to be profitable for the organization, this anyway is not going to work. So one thing which you need to remember is, whatever deals are being closed or whatever is being closed as far as the sales are concerned, at least in long term, this has to be profitable, right? Otherwise, as I had repeated a couple of times, this is definitely going to be a bad business. The next key responsibility is database and knowledge management. Now, if you look at it primarily, it is completely the salespersons who know the ground reality, and they are dealing with the customers, prospects or clients on day-to-day basis. So it becomes very important that they record the discussions that they are having with prospects or customers or clients in the databases. They should also record the key details about clients, businesses, functions and processes, because these can definitely be later on utilized to understand them better. See, as far as present marketing dynamics is concerned, we cannot deny the fact that customer insights are more like a treasure which can take an organization where it wants to reach. So again, I am summing it up. It is very important for a salesperson, or this comes as a part of his key responsibility, that right and accurate and regularly updated records of customers, prospects and clients are maintained, which can be later on utilized to dig deeper and rich insights. Now the next facet is about self-management, which means, see, if you look at the responsibilities of salesperson, he might be required to manage a lot of things in one go. Now let's look at salesperson in tier 2 cities. They might not be using the softwares for prospecting. So in one way they are supposed to do prospecting also. They are also required to meet customers on daily basis. They are also required to maintain some records about them, right? And there are a lot of other functions that they are required to perform. Self management comes in picture as far as this is concerned. They should know how to manage the available time as far as different customers or different prospects in pipelines are concerned. Now the next key responsibility is going to be about handling complaints. Now complaints can be related to different varieties. One could be related to that the customer is not happy with the product or he needs some repairs. So the salesperson need to make sure that this is resolved. If this is undermined or if this is not given due importance, then the particular salesperson can definitely forget about upselling and cross-selling. The other complaints could also be related to facets like he has got some information from competitors and now he's not in a stable form with respect to the fact that whether he has made the right choice or not, in which ways we are talking about cognitive dissonance. So in this case also it becomes the responsibility of the salesperson to handle that. Relationship management again is going to be another key responsibility. The more you nurture relationship, the more are going to be the chances of upselling and cross selling. If you remember, at one point we also spoke about farmers and hunters. Now if you recollect, with respect to farmers, it is very important that the relationships are nurtured. The other responsibility is definitely about providing services. Now these services can be related to after sales services. As we just discussed, if the customer or client needs some repairs, this has to be taken care of. Now with respect to technical B2B products, some trainings might also be need to be arranged for their staff so that they can utilize the offerings to the full potential that has been sold to them. So in this case also providing services becomes important. The services should not be related to after sales services. One form of services could also be related to information services, which is all about providing the right and relevant kind of information to the prospect customers or clients, which means you should work in collaboration with them to prepare frameworks which will help them understand which are the products that they need and will best fit their needs. Another key responsibility is going to be about implementing sales and marketing strategies. See, as we'll move further, we'll also be talking about how marketing and organization becomes important for a salesperson. If you look at it very fundamentally, it is the salesperson that represents the entire organization to the prospects, customers or clients. So it becomes the key responsibility that sales and marketing strategies are implemented. Let's say if overall the organization is working on a communications program which is all about fostering how we are better than competitors or what is our unique selling proposition that makes us stand out from competitors. So the salespersons, whenever they are meeting prospects, customers or clients, they should bear this in mind and they should definitely implement these whenever they are interacting on the field or in ground with the prospects or customers. And as we have discussed it a couple of times, prospecting again is going to be very important responsibility of salespeople. Definitely there are going to be a lot of softwares at play, but whenever a salesperson is meeting the existing clients or customers, he should work towards generating more leads which can be later on converted into customers, and then the chances of selling more are going to be very bright, provided you are taking the relationship or nurturing it in right way. So this is all about the key responsibilities of salespeople. But now I thought of throwing a googly at you. See, one facet is definitely going to be about what are the responsibility that a salespeople are required to perform, which is more like they have to self-manage as far as these responsibilities are concerned. But what do you think about the responsibilities of a sales manager? Don't you think that it is more going to be like this when you are moving from self-management, individual salesperson, to managing a team, which is all going to be about the role of a sales manager? So as far as the role of a sales manager is concerned, his functions are primarily going to be like this. First, identifying sales goals. What is it that his unit or territory wants to achieve? But this definitely should be aligned with the overall goals of an organization. Now, a sales manager should not stop at just formulating goals. He has also had to determine a sales plan which anyway will give the path for execution as far as the achievement of sales goal is concerned. Let's say a sales manager in the north decides that we need to increase the sales by 5% in these 5 cities. Now, how that can be done? Do we need a sales promotion programs for customers for that, or do we need to use some push strategies as far as our retailers and wholesalers are concerned? If any push strategy is required, then what is it going to be? Are we again going to come up with some contest for our retailers and wholesalers so that we can push them, or are we going to come up with the collaborative marketing programs or advertising programs to achieve this? So this again becomes important as far as the achievement of goals and sales plan is concerned. Another important function of a sales manager is going to be about recruitment and selection. Now, if you have studied a bit of human resource management, you will know what recruitment and selection is. Now, recruitment is a positive process which is more about inviting people to apply for jobs in our organization. The larger the pool, the better it is. But one thing we again need to make sure is we should definitely pass the information in all advertisements or on portals that these are the requirements that we are looking for, or this is what job specification or job description is going to be about, so that we only have those people applying who fit that criteria. Otherwise it is again going to be a very cumbersome exercise for you. So once people have applied, the next thing which becomes important is that we pick out the best or select best of them. Now for this we can use a variety of tests, we can use a variety of tools also, like we can use psychological testing, we can also use some aptitude test. But one thing which I want you to remember is we had discussed an article which was all about what makes a good salesman. So it becomes important that you also test your prospective salesperson that would be joining your organization on the basis of empathy and high ego drive. Another thing which becomes important for a sales manager is that he is also required to make sure that right training is given to the sales team. Now, if you have new people joining, training for them is going to be entirely different. We could be training them about the organization, sales policy, what are the products that the organization deals into. We can also work towards brushing their selling skills by attaching them with any of the manager or sales personnel. Now, if you look at it differently, the people who are already working in the organization, for them also trainings could be required. Now, this could be related to enhancing their soft skills when they are dealing with existing customers or clients. This can also be related to giving them trainings about how they are required to manage key accounts, right? Because we'll always want key account managers to be star performers, because we would never want to lose on the customers who are bringing in a lot of business for us, which we technically refer to as key accounts. So these are different facets which can be looked at from the perspective of training. See, when you talk about motivating the sales team, we first need to understand what motivation is. It is all about creating a zeal that people work harder to achieve what they are required to. Now, one thing is this definitely has to be in tandem with the broader objectives or the goals of an organization, or maybe we can say the sales organization. So we can definitely use a couple of financial and non-financial incentives as far as motivating the sales team is concerned. And we are definitely going to talk about this at length as we'll move forward in the modules as far as this week is concerned. Now, apart from this, the another role or function of a sales manager is about coordinating. Now, this coordination can either be related to the internal coordination that is required between different departments that are working in cooperation with the sales organization, or we need their support to keep things very smooth. In a way, like you might have received or your team might have received a lot of sales orders, but you also need to check in with the production team or the dispatch team that all these deliveries are made on time, and then with the finance team that all the bills are also generated and provided to the customers on time. Now, this coordination can also be required with the advertising departments or integrated marketing communications unit to make sure that there is a kind of a coherence between what the IMC is planning and what salespeople are in a way communicating with the prospects or customers when they are on field. Now, another function is definitely going to be about managing his territory. Now, territory management is all going to be about making sure that whatever objectives your territory or your areas of units have been allocated with, that should be complied with. Now, this can be related to either generating sales or working on relationship building, or could be related to creating an awareness at that particular area or territory if we are entering it in it for the first time. Now in the end you can definitely see an and the dots. I have kept it like this because now I want you to come up with your suggestions or ideas. What do you think can be added to the functions or role of a sales manager? Along with this, I wanted you to understand or look at this in a different perspective. So what I did was I have taken this Glassdoor snapshot and I want you to see the description template which definitely talks about the sales manager job. Now we are going to read about this so that you get an idea about how practically things are. Here at Acme Corp, we are a leading firm in our field in the tri-state area. We are proud to have a 3.9 Glassdoor rating from our employees. We are hiring a talented sales manager to join our growing team. If you are a hardworking professional, Acme Corp is a great place to get ahead. Apply today. Now, if you see below, they have mentioned the responsibilities for sales manager. Recruit, hire and train sales team, which we just discussed. Set sales goals, compare performance to goals and adjust goals as needed. Assess current team processes and procedures. Identify opportunities for improvement and implement them. Develop individual quotas and assign territories for team managers. Provide detailed and accurate sales forecast. Coach, mentor and provide feedback to team members. Foster a competitive yet collaborative team environment. Assess individual performance through observation and measurement and suggest corrective actions as needed. So after reading this snapshot, you must have got an idea that what we discussed is more or less aligned with the responsibilities of a sales manager, which the organizations are looking for as far as the present practical dynamics are concerned. So this was one thing which I wanted you to understand. Apart from that, now we will be looking at this incredible video by Brian Tracy. So as a matter of fact, I want you to Google about Brian Tracy and I'm sure you will be surprised to see what this person has done as far as the sales world is concerned. So please watch this video for now and then we'll be moving to the next module where we are again going to discuss some exciting things as far as the sales world is concerned.
How to become an effective sales manager in 3 simple steps. Your life can only get better when you do something every day to improve your key skill areas. Brian Tracy. Being a sales manager is a team activity. If you work in sales, you need to be a team player in order to get results through the individuals you're managing. While most sales managers are trained in sales, they're not always trained in sales management. They likely came into a sales manager role after proving themselves as a good salesperson. But that isn't always enough to succeed at the managerial level. Here's the good news though. All sales management skills can be learned, and a sales manager who intentionally works on these skills will be able to help their team be incredible salespeople while lifting up the rest of the organization as well. Take a look at the 3 simple skills to develop to become a truly effective sales manager. Skill number 1 is to be results-oriented. Successful and effective salespeople and leaders must be results-oriented, but it's not enough for you just to focus on results. You need to build a team that's results-oriented too. How can you create a sales team that cares about getting results? Be clear with your team about what their goals and end results should be. Explain what you're trying to achieve and why it's important. You'll also want to lay out the expectations you have for your employees. Tell them the specific actions you're going to take to move toward your goals together. Make yourself available for any questions or clarifications to ensure everybody is on the same page. If you don't communicate the results you want with your sales team, you're setting yourself and your team up for failure. But if you're intentional about your goals, you'll be able to serve as an effective sales leader. Skill number 2 is to provide your team with excellent sales training. You can't expect results unless you give your team something to work with. If you want your employees to achieve a certain result, you must make sure to provide them with the proper training. This can be done in a 3-part process. First, identify the key skills a salesperson will need to help them make their quota in a competitive market. These skills should be things that are highly relevant to your product or service. Second, teach your new recruits these key skills. Attend calls with them and watch them perform. Give them audio programs to listen to. Send them to sales seminars or conduct your own. The third part of this training is follow-up. Continue checking in with your salespeople over time to reinforce what you've taught. Create open lines of communication so they can ask you questions at any time. Remember, sales training is a process. It continues throughout a salesperson's entire career. To maintain high levels of performance, you need to be continually working on sales training all the time. And by helping your team with their continued education, they'll be better equipped to get results. The third and final skill to become an effective sales manager is to seek out opportunities for growth. There's always room for improvement and growth, even if you're at a manager level. Be humble enough to realize that you still have space to learn. For instance, teach yourself new ways to find and train salespeople, or stay on top of the trends in the sales industry. Get creative about methods that you can use to continue to grow in your sales career. Identifying your weaknesses will also help you improve. You can make even more progress by working on your weakest area or skill set. The best leaders are people who will continually evaluate what their weaknesses are and how they can improve. Finally, keep in mind that all sales management skills can be learned. You can learn any key skill that you need to in order to achieve any goal, whether it's a goal for yourself or your team. So don't be afraid to dream big. By focusing on results, providing high-quality training for your team, and continuing to grow your own skills and knowledge, you'll become a more effective sales manager and lead your team to success in their sales careers as well. Now the question today is this: what is one area where you could improve as a sales manager? And what will you do to get better? Leave a comment below, and Brian will be sure to follow up with you. Thanks for watching, and remember, as Brian always says, if you want to change your future, take action and take action now.
Thanking you for now.